More people are listening to podcasts than ever before. There are more than 525,000 to choose from. True crime podcasts consistently rank among the top 50. Research shows women overwhelmingly prefer the murder mystery genre. CBS This Morning Saturday co-host Dana Jacobson went to a live taping of a true crime podcast in Minneapolis to find out why. Dana, good morning.
Good morning. The true crime genre exploded in 2014 with the podcast Serial, which explored the guilt of a man who was serving a life sentence for murder. Its popularity actually helped unearth information that resulted in a new trial for him. But it is not just armchair investigators who are interested in true crime.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Kenyon Lang, Amanda Jacobson, and Lucy Fitzgerald, friends for more than 20 years and hosts of the popular podcast Wine and Crime.
56-year-old Bobby Bluer was lying face down on the floor of the bus, bleeding.
Where they playfully chat about crime over Cabernet and Chardonnay.
Like, we're funny. We shouldn't do this.
Everyone will love this.
And then we thought of Wine and Crime, and we thought, okay, well, we've got to nab this title before somebody else does and launch the podcast.
We'll have the logo slide that we always have up.
That was February 2017. A year and a half later, they get about 500,000 downloads a month. And when they turn the podcast live, they draw fans from across the country. Why come tonight?
Wine and Crime is one of my favorite podcasts, and I listen to a lot.
We'll serve the longest sentence because he's the one who actually used a firearm.
85% of their audience is female.
A lot of women listen to true crime because it's a way to kind of feel like you have control over the situation even though you don't.
It took a moment for Bo to realize that both of his parents were dead.
Why do you think women are attracted to listening about true crime?
We think that it's because women are so often portrayed as victims in the media, and women in particular like to think about something and understand it in order to overcome like anxieties based around that.
And everyone loves a taboo subject.
Yes.
And if you say you don't, you're lying.
Wine and Crime is just one of thousands of true crime podcasts that hit home with a female audience.
And 10 different podcasts that are true crime.
At least.
Stay sexy.
And don't get murdered.
Arguably the most popular true crime podcast is My Favorite Murder, hosted by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. Within 5 months of their January 2016 premiere, the podcast hit the #1 spot on iTunes.
Obviously, My Favorite Murder paved the way for so many true crime podcasts. They're massive in our world. And also when we got started, it was easier to launch because we knew that there was a market for it.
This is your chance to tell your hometown or your favorite murder.
Some fans have even taken their shared true crime interest offline to meet up in person.
When you come to an event like this, you know everybody already likes murder, so it's not weird to say it.
I really like the angle that the stories are told from. It comes from a place of like protecting yourself and standing up for yourself rather than being a victim.
The podcasts have also become a support network for listeners to share their anxieties.
We talk about our own mental health struggles, physical health struggles. I mean, that stuff comes up all the time. I think it's just relatable. My therapist checks in with me every day, reads what I have to say. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Highly recommend.
A lot of people have problems, and it's nothing to be hidden away and be ashamed of. It means the world to us that we are such a part of people's lives, and they find some sort of comfort and help from our show.
To have impact on people like that, what does that mean?
I think that has been the biggest surprise of this whole experience.
That's my case.
The Great Minnesota Get Together! If we can be a small part of someone's self-care,
That's huge.
that's huge.
And Wine and Crime will start its first East Coast tour this November. It's one of those where there's so many offerings out there, you have to find the one that clicks with you, was what we found out the most.
For me, it was Serial. That's when I first got hooked on Serial. Now, these guys are doing something totally different.
Yeah, they bring that comedy genre, or try to bring comedy into it. It's a comedy if you can really click with it. But for other people, they just want, lay out the murder for me, let me think about that. For these women, it's more about hanging out with your girlfriends, drinking wine, and talking about it.
Thank you, Dana.